Mhm. Greetings, Cherry Tree family and other friends who watch our Facebook page. You just never know when I'm going to pop up. It's a Friday afternoon, and I have a special reason for talking to you this afternoon. I want to fill you in a little bit more on the background that led us to the decision to reopen for services and explain to you how that is going to look so that you'll understand our thinking on the Board of Elders as we debated this and made a decision to begin holding public services once again. This Sunday, the 24th, we will have kind of a soft opening. We've invited church leadership and their families, other staff members and their families. We anticipate that there might be 30 to 40 people that actually join us for this week, and we want to have an opportunity for the church leadership to evaluate what do we need to do to be ready for the rest of the church family to return when you're ready to do that. And so the following Sunday, on the 31st, we are inviting people to come, but by sign up, and I will explain that to you in just a little bit. Let me give you a little bit of background. This is a very complex issue, and it was debated very thoroughly by our Board of Elders because we want to be cautious in how we proceed and yet honoring the desire that many have to get back to church and be able to worship together once again. The reality is things are beginning to open up around us. We are seeing that a number of businesses are opening, and as those businesses open, understandably, many people are saying, well, if I can go to such and such a business and there are people congregated there, why can't I go to my church? So we're trying to find the right balance. At the same time, there is a great deal of caution that needs to be exercised because we're not finished with coronavirus. And in fact, we're being warned by many that we can expect as things are opening up that there will be increased positive cases and increased hospitalizations and yes, even increased fatalities. In Fayette County, we live in an area that has not seen a large number of these cases compared to some other areas around us. So we feel a little safer in that regard because we think that we're in a community where it has not transmitted quite as fast as or with severity as in some other places. However, that could certainly change, and it could change overnight. So we're going to be reviewing this and monitoring what is unfolding, and if we need to make changes in our policy, we'll do that down the line. So we're doing this now. It's possible that we might retract some of what we're doing or might set some additional restrictions, and certainly we're going to be listening to what the CDC and the State Department of Health and others may be advising us about gatherings like church worship. In that regard, some of you might be saying, well, are we allowed to do this? And yes, we are. In fact, you might not be aware of this, but actually in Pennsylvania, churches were never closed. They were never mandated to stop meeting. There has been some legal ambiguity about exactly what kinds of restrictions are placed on churches. But what has been clear is that from the very beginning, the governor did not mandate that churches close. In a meeting back in March, he had a number of religious leaders who gathered with him in Harrisburg, and they recommended that all gatherings be restricted, and these certain religious leaders strongly recommended that churches cooperate with what the governor was asking and other government officials. And so nearly all churches have done that, but they were not legally mandated to do that. Now, as they are coming back to meeting, what are the demands or the requirements with regard to those meetings? You've heard that we are in the yellow phase now, and that means groups of 25 can meet. However, churches have been determined to be essential services, and because they are considered essential services, we are allowed to have up to 50% capacity of our church facility meeting at one time. In our particular church, we could probably cram 350 people into our sanctuary. However, we definitely could not maintain adequate social distancing if we had 175, which would be half of that number, in the room at one time. So our board has set this standard as we begin to congregate again. We're going to allow 50 people in the sanctuary and have another 25 in the fellowship hall. So at the beginning, we will be prepared to accommodate up to 75 people in the building. I need to let you know that because someone might say, wait a minute, if we have 50 people in the sanctuary and they are telling us that we can't have groups of more than 25, how are we doing that? Well, the reason is because we are considered an essential service, and therefore the 50% capacity rule applies to churches, not the 25. So we're beginning at that point. As we go forward, we will determine exactly what is working for us. Some churches are doing more than one service so that they can accommodate more people. Some churches are doing a morning and an evening service. Some are meeting in various parts of the building. There are different ways to address this, and we will continue to address that as we go forward and evaluate it on a week-to-week basis. As we do this, we also are trying to balance all of these concerns. We want to be very careful that we are creating as safe an environment as possible. We're beginning certainly with cleaning. Our church custodian, Shirley Colazar, has been doing a wonderful job of keeping this place disinfected and cleaned and ready for people to return, and we will be continuing to address that to the best of our ability. We are not requiring masks because they are not required in such gatherings as this, but we are encouraging masks. And so if you have a mask, bring it. If you don't have a mask, we will have some available for those who desire to wear a mask. And so we're trying to do those kinds of things. We will certainly honor social distancing. We're not going to print a bulletin, so no one will be handing you a bulletin when you come into the church. They will be available online. You'll get an email to that effect, and you can go to our website and see the bulletin, but we won't be handing them out. We won't be passing offering plates. There will be a place where you can leave your offering, and as an aside, I want to continue to thank you for your faithfulness, even through these weeks when we have not been meeting. So many people have been giving online or have been mailing their donations, and that's what it has enabled us to continue our ministries online, especially to children and youth, and pay the bills of the church. And so we thank you for that. There will be opportunity when you come to leave your offering, but not handling an offering plate. We have plans to deal with communion, which will be just a couple weeks down the line, that will preserve cleanliness and avoid passing plates as we celebrate the communion service on that Sunday. And in all of that, I want to impress on you a couple other things. One is, we really do not want you to come if you have any reservation about being out in a public gathering, or if anyone in your family is compromised in any way and really shouldn't be out in a larger gathering. So if you are sick or have been associated with someone who is sick, please do not come. Wait until you know that everything is clear in that regard. And if you are in an at-risk category, then please stay away. Some of those who are in an at-risk category are those who are older, and for many of those, like myself, who have grown up in the church, we almost feel a compulsiveness that if the church doors are open, we need to be there, that somehow we are dishonoring the Lord if we're not attending church when it is available. But please understand, you're not going to score points with God by showing up at the sanctuary if you shouldn't be here. And you can participate through our live streaming, and that is your attendance. So please don't feel any compulsion to come. Don't feel that you have let God down or let the church down if you don't come. I've said to several people, I'm actually hopeful that as a congregation we will self-regulate with regard to attendance, and that enough people will say, I really don't think I should be there yet, that we won't have a problem with the numbers who do come. On the other side of that, however, some people are engaged in other aspects of their activity beyond the church. They're resuming a number of things they haven't been able to do, and they feel very strongly, I want to attend church again. So this is going to require that we show proper regard and respect for one another through this season. Those persons who feel compelled to be here, who are anxiously looking forward to the next opportunity to attend a public service, should not look down on those who say, I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm more fearful. I have other concerns. You're not going to see me for a while. On the other hand, those who are staying home, who are choosing not to come, should not judge those who choose to come. We're going to have to really be honoring of one another and respectful of each other through this season and not allow it to become a divisive thing. I was talking to a district official earlier today, and I said to him, I really think we've been preparing for this at Cherry Tree because we've been talking for several years now about loving God, loving you. That has become our brand, really. We're honoring the commandments that the Lord said are the greatest, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor or to love one another as yourself. And as we do that, it means that sometimes we're going to find ourselves at polar opposites on a given issue. There may be some who feel very strongly, we should not be meeting yet. There are others who feel very strongly, we should never have stopped meeting. So we're at opposite ends of the spectrum, but let's show respect for each other wherever our personal views might lie. And let's honor one another and love one another. Eventually, we hope that we're all back in the same room together. And I don't want any of this to be divisive. In the meantime, let's just keep loving each other and loving the Lord wherever we find ourselves, if it's here or if it's in our home watching on live stream. With regard to live stream, I also want to impress on you, we have been working hard to improve the product that we send out to you. We've been live streaming for some time. We discovered that we were having some issues with buffering, with pauses, with other glitches in what we were sending. It was frustrating for some. It's been worse for some people than for others. Not everyone has had the same experience, so some of that may depend on the service that you have wherever you are. But we know that there have been issues. We discovered just recently that we were actually paying for a lower tier internet service than we thought we were. So we have just upgraded that. We're still in that process. It's not completed yet, but some improvements have already occurred. The past couple of weeks, you might have seen that the live stream service went much more smoothly than before. There's a reason for that. We discovered that if we would pre-record the service and then post it at the Sunday morning meeting time, then it would come across for most people seamlessly. There would be no problems at all receiving it. So for the past 2 weeks, we have actually recorded the service before Sunday morning and then posted it at 9:30. And that has helped immensely with getting the product out to you. Now, obviously, as we begin to meet again in the sanctuary, we can't do that. And so this Sunday, we will be back to streaming the service live as it is occurring. A couple of things to say to you about that. We believe with the upgrades to our internet service, it should be a much smoother transmission this week than what we have experienced. We need to know from you if that is the case. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons we're doing this Friday afternoon transmission is we're doing this as a test. So if you're watching and it's buffering or you're having other kinds of problems with it, would you please drop us a note? Let us know your experience. If it's working well, tell us that, because we're trying to find out before Sunday, is there anything else we can do to strengthen our transmission before we go live on Sunday morning. And then on Sunday morning, a second thing to say to you is we hope that our upgrade in our internet service will resolve all of those problems, but if you're still having a problem, I encourage you to come back later in the day and watch again, because what we are doing is recording the service when we do it live, and then we will upload that. And the uploaded, recorded version should be, as we've seen the past 2 Sundays, without all of those other kinds of issues. So if you're finding that the service on Sunday morning is just really difficult to watch or maybe even unwatchable, then just give up on it for then and come back later in the day and give it another try. As we get all this resolved in the future, we anticipate that we will be able to upload the service within minutes after the service is over in a recorded version, and if there are problems with the live streaming, the uploaded version should be seamless and should be a good experience for you. We're also doing that not only on Facebook now, but we have just begun uploading to YouTube. And some of you might find that the YouTube version is a better experience for you than the Facebook. So give both of those things a try. An email went out earlier today with the link for YouTube, and I would encourage you to subscribe to that, even if you intend still to go to the website or watch on Facebook, because there is an advantage to the church if we can get at least 100 subscribers to YouTube. We can get our own address site, as I understand it. And so whether or not you choose to use it, we would encourage you to subscribe to YouTube, and that will be available to you as an alternative as well. So all of these things we're doing in order to improve our product for you and to get this out to you in a way that will make the best possible experience for you. And as we do this, we'll take it a step at a time. We'll continue to evaluate. And if we find out that something is not working, then we'll try to adjust that, make improvements, or change what we're doing in order to make it a better experience. As we begin to come back to service again, we're really looking forward to seeing your faces live. We're looking forward to the opportunity to be here in the sanctuary together. But we want to make sure that we do that safely. So again, I'm stressing to you, if you have any reservations, please don't come. Let live stream be your means for connecting with us, and we will try to make that as good an experience for you as we can. If you do choose to come, we're looking forward to seeing your smiles. We're not going to be shaking hands. We won't be giving hugs. There'll be some things that will be different, at least for a time, until all of this is settled once again. But we are looking forward to getting back to some greater sense of normalcy in the very near future. So God bless you richly. We look forward to seeing you once again. And as I've been telling you in our daily videos that I share with you, we just need to keep on rejoicing in Jesus.